Hello everyone and welcome to the Hisui podcast. I'm Wolf Tyke and I'm here with Kinraid 5 and Nurse Evie.
Hello, hello.
So,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's been a while since our last episode. I'm like, it's been the same amount of time as always. What am I saying?
I feel you
It's been a
though.
minute since we had
I feel
Cade.
like a lot of life has happened in the past week.
There has
Yeah.
been.
It really has.
That's the reason. Because, like, I mean, even if I just look at school, like, I've now graduated since last episode.
Hell
And
yeah.
so
Congratulations.
Nice.
Thank you. So I've been learning to adapt to non-school life. And trying to maintain a better sleep schedule than I even had while in high school. Which has
Nice.
been challenging. But I've been mostly good, I feel. Except for today, when I woke up at like 1:30 p.m.
1:30. Oh my god.
That's not too bad.
Well, okay, so I initially woke up at like 9 a.m., which was good. And then a cat chose to come and like sleep on my legs, and then I fell back asleep.
Understandable,
Oh,
actually. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was ready to get up and do stuff at 9 a.m., and then a cat said no. So... Then I was asleep till 1:30, and then I couldn't. And then when I woke up, there was another different cat in my bed, and so I didn't want to get out of bed for another 30 minutes. It was a very
Understandable.
challenging morning. I may need to just lock my bedroom off of cats.
That might be wise.
Yeah, like literally at like 1:50, when I was like still not willing to leave, I looked over at the cat and went, "You know, you may not be allowed in here anymore." I don't think the cat understood. But, other than that, is there anything else Oh, there is like one piece of news that we can talk about before jumping into the game. Which literally, the news came out like an hour ago as of recording.
Yeah.
Which is Endless and Voltion has announced their like indie game studio called Soul Shade Games. We've had Endless on the podcast before. If you have not seen that episode, go and check it out. But yeah, they have a blue sky. You can just look it up. It's just called Soul Shade Games.
Is this where I get to like say that I'm a cool person and say I knew before the announcement?
Yeah, sure.
Didn't you say you almost goofed up on and accidentally almost leaked their name because of another fan game?
No.
Or am I
No. I almost spoiled
You're thinking
the
of Salt and Shadow.
I
and,
almost
like,
spoiled the interview for EV Expo because that game was Salt and Shadow, and the insert name jam game is Smoke and Salt. So
I always mix
I kept
names.
trying to say Salt. I almost kept saying Salt and Shadow when I started streaming Smoke and Salt. And then I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I made the same mistake, Kate. I don't think anyone would have noticed that it was because of that.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
still don't know
hindsight,
which
but-
game is which. I know one is Smoke and Salt, and I know one is Salt and Shadow. If you put me at gunpoint and ask me which is which, I would have just said, shoot me now.
Just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Just pull the trigger, Piglet.
That's
Like,
the
don't put
same.
me through this.
That's the same time I've heard that kind of joke today. I was on post lunch walk with my coworkers, and one of them was like, "Yeah, if you asked me like if this upcoming holiday is Memorial Day or Labor Day, gun to my head, just pull the trigger because I wouldn't know." Like same exact structure.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It just be like that sometimes. Memorial Day and like those kind of days just kind of run together, it feels like.
Yeah. It did register in my brain that I don't have work on Monday, like finally today, and I'm like, thank you.
I have work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Rip.
So, yeah, pray for me. Actually, another thing that we should talk about. The podcast officially has 50 subscribers. Well, now 51.
Nice.
Which is nice
I
because...
might have accidentally helped with that, with breaking the 50.
Which is nice because, like, there was a while there where we were, like, close for a while, but we just weren't really getting subscribers anymore because we haven't been, like, getting new viewers for a while. Which is fine.
Yeah.
Because I think before recently, the last subscriber we got was February 8th. We were at, like, 48 or something like that. So...
I do also want to mention before I forget, because my brain is all over the place right now. Pokemon Odyssey just announced that they have their, like, announcement trailer for their final version coming out tomorrow, I believe. So, by the time you're watching this podcast, probably you'll know what the final release date is for the final version of Pokemon Odyssey, which is really exciting.
Oh. And also, like, if you're watching this podcast episode an hour after it came out, Ethy's doing his debut stream right now.
Yeah, come by and see me.
I unfortunately cannot, because I'll be working.
Same. Not that I'm working, but I have family stuff.
So,
I'll try and pop
you know,
in now.
Yeah. Join Ethy's stream in my stead, who knows? Maybe, like, because the thing is, it starts, like, an hour into my shift, so I can just, like, take a break. Eat dinner, and then pop into the stream. I may be able to do that. May.
Can. I keep telling myself, I'll be surprised if at least 2 people show up. Like, I'll be content if at least 2 people show up. That's how I have to take it for every stream, but if at least 2 people show up, it'll be worth it. I spent $1,400 on this 2D model. If at least 2 people show up, hey, we're good.
Yeah, no, those things are expensive.
Yeah.
They are not a money sink, but like...
No. But definitely a high investment.
Yes.
Unless you got one of those, like, there's a lot of really good customizable ones that, where, like, instead of a custom one like I have, a customizable one where, like, an artist will put it out there and have it rigged and everything and then sell it for, like, $150, $200. And then you just slide a bunch of sliders here and there, and it's custom, but it's not fully custom.
Yeah, how about we now switch over very gracefully, one of our best transitions yet in the podcast, to Smoke and Salt?
I just want to mention the transition was there for the taking earlier. We were talking about Salt and Shadow. And we passed over it.
Yeah, we did. It is Smoke and Salt. Yes, it is Smoke and Salt. Let's go. Okay.
It is Smoke and Salt. You're right.
Smoke and Salt and Shadow.
Yeah.
Don't even. Just no. Don't even.
What are those? I've never understood. Have y'all ever seen those shirts where, like, I always see it on shirts where it's like A and B and C and D, and like it just has a list with a bunch of ampersands beside it.
Nope.
No.
Can't say I have.
No?
Nope.
Okay, someone, comment section, please save me here. Someone else, please tell me you know what I'm talking about, and please help me understand what those shirts are.
Oh, I haven't played this one either. So I was just looking at the Insert Name Jam games, and I thought I only had 2 left, but I actually have 3.
I have so many left.
It's okay, Kay. There are a lot of short ones.
Sure. And then there's
There are.
Peppermint.
Oh, yep, there is peppermint. That's one of the ones that I have left.
I've only touched 2 games so far. And I'm
That's
not
fine.
doing any this week because debut.
Mm-hmm.
So next week gets to be just a gauntlet.
Sweet. And hey, the Summer Jam is starting in a month now, so, you know, we really got a timer on our hands.
Mm-hmm. And I've got the VTuber SummerSlam coming up at the end of June too, so when I say I've got a rush, I mean I got a rush.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
expect more plugs for that later too. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Speaking of the insert name jam, let's move into talking about Smoke and Salt.
Yeah, this one was my suggestion for because when we finished the quiz show, this was the game that I wanted to talk about because it's another game by Never This Again, who has honestly turned into one of my favorite developers. Just I always love seeing what kind of weird stuff they're going to come up with, and every time I absolutely love it.
I know, I guess do we want to start off just going over like our overall thoughts before going into like specific stuff?
Sure.
So Kate, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, this is a certified Never This Again game. Like,
Yep.
I like the stuff that Never This Again is known for. That stuff's in here, and it's done with the polish that you expect from a Never This Again game. I really like. I don't want to get too into nitty gritty. I don't know how much into spoiler. Like, I have a very like spoiler impacted point that I want to make at some point, but it's like very specific, so I won't make it right now. But I think overall the game's very polished, very good. The only like major thing that I was frustrated with, that I guess I didn't have time to check back in Perilous Heights, but I might just need Never This Again to make a game based on a volcano, because I don't remember fire types being available in the past 2 games they've made.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think so.
And that annoyed me against not the final boss, but like
There were a lot of
the final trainer, if you know what I mean.
Well, but also, like, at the beginning of the game, there was, like, you were just fighting grass types after grass types after grass types. And I finally, like, so there were a lot of flying types in the first area, which would be good against the grass types. The thing is, I kept one-hitting them with my, electric type. I forget the name on the top of my head.
Boltund? You didn't just use
Boltund.
Nuzzle?
Yes, Boltund. No, I never used Nuzzle, but I kept one-hitting them. I used, I think, Thunderfang.
Yeah. I mean, that would OHKO a flying type, especially wild.
Yeah. And so I never got a flying type, but finally I found this poison bug type, and I was like, yes! I caught it. It had no poison or bug moves.
That sounds about right.
Nice.
For any poison or poison bug type, that sounds about right.
It had a
Nice.
ghost type move, a dark type move, and a normal type move. That was it.
Yeah.
That's about right.
So it was very helpful against like every Pokemon in my team had a dark type move, which was good against like once we got to the cemetery.
Yeah.
But against the grass types, I didn't really have anything.
Yeah,
I
and I
do-
can definitely see that being a problem.
So I do kind of agree with Kate on that point, and that was one of the points I was going to bring up. Another non-spoiler kind of nitty-gritty point. I wish that they set up each of the characters that they're talking about before you talk to all the neighbors to figure out information about the case. Because when talking to the neighbors at the beginning, it made it so hard to like understand what they were talking about, because it just looked like names and words without being able to like associate them with like people they are talking about, if that makes sense.
I didn't have that problem, and I felt that the cast of characters was small enough to where that wasn't too big of a problem. I think the only area where I may have ran into that was talking about Frank or whoever the dude that was dead. When they dropped him, I was like, oh wait, who's this dude again? Oh yeah. So, but like I can see how that was an issue.
I got lost with him.
There's apparently an Andy in the world who I think is dead, right?
Was Andy
He was the
Frank's
missing
kid?
child before. I think so. Andy, I think, was Frank's kid, who was the first child to go missing.
Okay.
Which... No, I'm not gonna make that joke. There's an easy joke you can make there. But yeah, that's like...
Nope. Just continue.
Okay, now I'm confused by your reaction, I think.
I don't know what joke you were gonna make, and I don't know if I want to know.
It's not that bad. It's not like a hint of a Hisui joke, if that makes sense. It's not like a joke Tom would make. That's not the kind of joke I'm thinking of. But yeah, I mean, that's my only like main thing that I would criticize. Anything else I have, like, because there have been enough Nether This Again games, there's like anything else that I would like say as a criticism I know is just not gonna happen because of personal preference differences. So at this point, it's just kind of like, yeah, it was a Never This Again game. I wish it was easier to deal with grass types, and yeah. I did not absolutely love it. I didn't hate it. I had a fine enough time with it.
I thought, yeah, I kind of share Andy's like, not like meh, like it's a very good game.
No.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like at this point, and I can get into this a little bit more, but I feel like we've played the same archetype of game from Never This Again for a few jams now, and I don't need a completely different genre, or like I'm not asking for a complete 180. I'm asking for a little bit of iteration. That's, I feel like, what I'm looking for. And like I do think the thing that was really cool about this game that has not been in Never This Again games previously is that you as the player get to use a Darkrai, which is really cool. And it's just given to you.
And like the main like mythical Pokemon that the game's kind of based around, even though you could definitely make an argument this game is a lot less based around that Pokemon than any of their other games.
Well, which Pokemon would you say it's based around?
Darkrai.
You think it's based around Darkrai? Because I would argue it's based around the Marini and Toxapex.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's more based around the Marini and Toxapex.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it's completely based around them in the same way that the other games were. Like Perilous Heights with Parasect and... Like, Marini and Toxapex were there as the villains, but I wouldn't say that, like, it was based... or the story was based around them. They were just in the story.
No, I do kind of agree with you, but I also don't think the story is based around Darkrai either. If anything, the story is the main character of the story, other than Lloyd, obviously, is, and obviously other than the child that's gone missing, is the island itself and the community of very eccentric individuals, shall we say? Yeah. That inhabit it. Which I do think is really cool.
But, like, I did personally like this game more than Perilous Heights. I can't put my finger down why, other than mostly I feel like there were a little less frustrating moments, I guess, than Perilous Heights, for me personally. But there also, like, personally for me, it wasn't anything that, like, yeah, it just felt... I will say, something that I did like about it was the reveal of, like, the Hex Maniac kind of being the person behind the disappearance and the reason for the disappearances.
I did like that.
What do you mean, the reason for the disappearances?
Like, she was just, like, keeping them to make them, like, feel better after getting, like, bitten by the Toxapex. Or Marini.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I liked that. That was, like, an interesting twist.
It is an interesting twist. I think I'm fine with the fact that you're, like, trying to, like, heal the kids, but I don't like... A lot of my issues with this game come from the fact that I do not like Margaret as a character. And I feel like I have a good amount to say on that, but you guys should keep going.
Well,
which one was Margaret again?
That was the Hexmania.
The Hexmania.
Oh, that's fair. She definitely needed a little something more. Or at least just a little more fleshing out. Especially, like, the fact that she just casually drops, oh yeah, I conveniently have a friend that I was able to call and hit up for narcotics. Just, no big deal. Or maybe not narcotics, but, like, for schedule 1, schedule 2 drugs that are, like, extremely regulated. I was able to just call somebody up and say, hey, I need to have some of this extra medication just in case I need to essentially roofie somebody. Like, let's call that what it was. That was basically date rape drug right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this all comes from, it could be as simple as just fleshing out her character a little bit more so we understand her. But it could also just be a lot, like, larger and, like, a frustration. Because I think the crux of my problem comes down to your motivation for hiding these children is because you want to stay on the island, is you want to continue your life on the island. And I do not like that as, like, an excuse until we know more about, like, her backstory. Like, maybe there's an even more important reason she needs to stay on the island. That's never really, like, revealed. And because of that, I feel like that's a very weak motivation for, like, literally kidnapping children. So,
I mean, wasn't it just the one?
No, I
there was
thought it was
Andy
multiple.
before.
There's multiple, yeah.
He died from the venom. I don't know.
No,
how, like...
it wasn't explained that, like, she
I thought there was
tried
another
to
kid.
like heal them beforehand, but it never worked, and now she's trying to do it with Claire, and it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she had done it before.
Well, she kidnapped a kid. Yeah. Actually, Andy, I think you're right. She kidnapped a kid, tried to cure him because he was poisoned. The cure didn't work, and they died.
And then she tried to do it again.
So extremely negligent.
Well, also,
I mean, not every anti-venom's going to work on the first try.
That's true.
Again.
When
you could just bring the kid to the hospital, and it'd be okay.
Well,
yeah,
also,
and
it's like,
I see where she was coming from, though, with, like, if people find out about this weird version of Marini, they're gonna start invading the island, trying to either get rid of him, eradicate him, or just essentially upend my entire home and everyone else that lives here. Like, I do see where she's coming from to an extent.
well, but
Do I agree with her
also,
actions? Absolutely not.
With Margaret, it felt like, at least for me personally, that, like, it felt like to a point the author didn't know if they wanted to make her, like sympathetic or like a good person or not. It felt like that
Yeah.
like their intentions with her flip-flopped constantly. To a
I
degree.
feel like I understand that you don't want your life uprooted. But I still don't think that excuses kidnapping a child, and like
No, it doesn't excuse it.
no, definitely not. I just like I don't have enough of like context for her character or how much she cherishes this island to really get that like understanding of like why she was doing that. And because of that, it like it made me feel so like I don't know, like a good, like I should be able to see both sides of it, and I could not see the other side of it for her. And like Ethy sounds like you were able to see both sides. I couldn't.
I
has there been
as a
any-
burnt out scientist, as a burnt out science healthcare person, I kind of see it. Like
Well-
she was tired from her chemical engineering.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
Okay.
Kane, is there like an example you can think of that's like a good example of like you can understand both sides?
what do you mean? Like
Well, because also
like
because I'm
if
trying to
it
think,
if it
it's
were
like,
me, and like I had to write the Hexmaniac, I would have given a better explanation of why she doesn't want to go back to the mainland or whatever, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
well,
I think cuz to me, like yeah, sure, you're like getting uprooted and you have to move back. You don't have to go back to your job. Like you can just live by your own, like in a rural community if you want to. Like I think like what would have been more interesting is if you had the context of like, yes, I'm like this very hated person because I was doing these science experiments that were advancing, I don't know, society, but other people weren't happy with them, so I got like exiled to this island. So if I went back, my like literally my entire life would be ruined, or something along those lines, to give that like extra motivation of like why she really wants to stay on this island. And then I can be like, okay, I see both sides. But
well,
just being like
because-
vaguely, oh, you can't send me back, it would ruin my life, is like, I don't know, to me that's like, okay, so you are going to put an entire community of people in danger just because you like vaguely don't want to go back, basically. Is I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
Incredibly,
I feel like I might
yeah,
just
it's
be
incredibly
well,
selfish.
but also, does because the thing is, if she's supposed to be the villain, isn't it okay to be selfish? Because mainly when I was thinking, it's like with Pokemon Abstract, I wouldn't say the villain with like Ramon is entirely like you see his side of the argument, if you get what I mean.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking for like a sympathetic villain, and obviously Margaret is not a sympathetic villain.
No.
Um,
Well, but when you say the story tried to paint her as a sympathetic villain,
I think the story, yes, I think it did, because you have the question in the end where do you lie and say that you like don't want to, like you don't tell the parents that like or whatever, or or you do tell the parents. And because of that decision like existing in the end, you have to like paint her as like, well, you don't necessarily have to paint her as sympathetic, because I did choose to lie, but my reasons to lie were different. It was more because the way I understood the situation was, as long as there are no more Marini, there is no capability of people getting poisoned. and because like
There's no reason
not
for them
because
to-
I empathize with Margaret wanting to stay on the island. I chose to lie because it's just like there's no harm in like there's harm in telling the truth to Margaret and to the island, but there's no harm in lying in this situation because the threat is removed. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I will
So
say
I'd almost argue like the end just almost could be seen as justifying the means. Not that it does, but you could look at it that way.
you could.
I don't think it's anywhere near that actually.
I mean, it's almost all's well that ends well.
No, it is.
Like, if-
at the very end, it is. It is all as
But
well.
is that
ends
because
well.
of her, or is it because of?
No, it's not because of her. It's because the threat's eliminated.
Yeah, the threat's eliminated. She was trying to eliminate the threat. You ended up accidentally helping. And then everything ended up being better than originally planned.
Yeah, but you're.
Yeah, I like. Okay, your objective is
But-
to eliminate the threat, but like, when you're in a situation where you can't eliminate the threat, which was the story up until you fell through the bottom floor of the cemetery or whatever, like, I don't know.
And especially like. I'm trying to remember in the story, what's the reasoning for her having to be the one to specifically try and help the children, and not just like have people
Well,
realize the marine?
because she just so happened to be there when she saw the child like come back poisoned.
Mhm.
Okay, but why not just bring that person to the hospital then?
Because if she
That is
brought-
my entire
if she
problem
brought
with
the
this.
If she brought the children to the hospital, then the hospital was going to tell authorities. The authorities would do an investigation and end up uprooting everybody off of the island. Not just her, but everybody from the island.
Yeah, no,
Everyone
Ethan,
would
I
have to
think Kate's
escape.
right here.
Like, is it still selfish? Absolutely, but it's not just uprooting her, it's uprooting everyone. Her friend that's living in the forest, he's already somewhere bordering homeless. Like, I don't know, his situation was weird to me.
I got the impression that he
Like-
was choosing to be like a hermit.
Yeah. So, like, you've got him who's, like, kind of homeless, technically, but more by choice. But then everyone else who is just trying to live their normal life, now their lives are being uprooted. Even, like, the family that just moved here to this island to get away from the big city, well, now I guess we're moving back to the big city because the place we tried to move to is now infested with these creatures.
But we're
Well,
we're
like,
acting
also, the
like the
thing
big
is,
city
Like,
is the only alternative.
She thought of
Well, but-
herself as the vigilante hero.
Oh,
Ha-
100%.
But the thing is, Evie, and just like the villain in general, Margaret, I'm talking to them. It's like, why, in your mind, when you willingly choose to still live in a place, if it's that dangerous to people and to children, especially like this is letting multiple children still get hurt, and it's like in her mind, yeah, she thought that she had dealt with it before, but like if she thought there would be a reason for people to to kick people off of the island for it being dangerous, why would you choose to still live in a place that would be dangerous to maybe to the point of people not being able to survive?
I mean, that is a good question that I don't really know how to properly answer, because that was her choice that she made for everybody.
That doesn't make sense, I feel, for a person to make that choice. To be like, oh, we could all die? Sure, let's keep living here.
We could, but I've got this. It's fine. I've got it handled, and no one has to know that this creeping threat is coming about.
But
no one has to worry.
But if she thinks she has it handled, then why would she be worried? Because the only reason why they would kick them off the island is if she didn't have it handled.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
why
she
would
clearly
she
didn't have it handled?
So why would she be worried about people kicking them off if she thought she had it handled?
Because it's still a looming threat in the background. It's not just like
No, she doesn't have it handled.
Well, because she's been every time she's tried, she's said, "Oh, well, okay, that didn't work. Time for the next plan. It's the scientific method. You develop a hypothesis, you execute your plan, you see what the results are." The results came back and she said, "Okay, that's working for now. Oh, it's not working anymore. Okay, let's develop a new hypothesis, a new plan."
Okay, you can do that, but not when human lives are at stake.
That's like 80% of nursing.
Yeah, but that's like a team of people doing that, and not just
well, and these
a singular person going off of their own whims.
These are solidified, like, scientific processes, right? With like most
she's a chemical engineer.
Most scenarios in like nursing and stuff are not life and death, I would argue. Yes, there are life and death scenarios, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like act like I know something that I don't know, but I don't know, I feel like that's not quite true, whereas like I feel like the situation on the island is a life and death scenario, and maybe I'm not understanding that. Maybe now it's not a life and death scenario. I don't know.
Well, for me, my main problem is just like it feels contradictory, the being scared that people are gonna take her off the island while also believing that she has it handled.
That's
like that just feels like
point too.
Contradicts itself.
Yeah, it is.
Like that's my main problem with her, is just like she just feels a little inconsistent, and it almost feels like I could be wrong that the writer like wrote the story and then had to figure out any way to try and like make it make sense afterwards once they had gotten to the ending without like having that idea at the beginning and then writing the story accordingly, if that makes sense. Which leads to a little bit more inconsistencies with how the character thinks. Because that's not like the basis of it. The basis is the main story. Is how it at least feels to me.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
But
I mean, I think this conversation has definitely improved my opinion on the game, because I thought everybody was gonna be like in the same boat as me, but the fact that Ethi doesn't agree with us makes it definitely a cloudier situation than I thought it. I thought it was very black and white, but if it's more complex than that, hey, then that's good. That's good.
As a tired scientist, I understand the dream of just retreating to a deserted island and not having to worry about going back. Some of that's also the mental illness, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
like, is there anything that like you would say is like a standout for UK with this game in like a good way?
Oh, so many things. I think the mapping is like exceptional. I think it's a
I did like
massive
mapping.
step up from like Perilous Heights.
Oh yeah.
I think I really, really like how like alive the town feels. Actually, I think the way that like the different neighbors interact with each other and how they each have their own like individual like relationships and dynamics, I think that's really good. I actually think the way the story plays out in this game is really good until Margaret decides that she's not gonna make sense, in my
I
opinion.
also would have still liked if characters were introduced before mass expositing dialogue with the neighbors. Because then I can attribute names to faces and not just names to text.
Also,
Because that's easier
I
for
guess
me.
sort of nitpick, but sort of praise as well. I really like how Lloyd, the main character, had like his own stuff going on outside of like the main story. Like he had his own life, and like he had
I did like that.
like he had like his own demons kind of that he was like conquering, and it now actually kind of played out through the story every time he was like falling asleep. And he obviously had that problem with, or he was having problems or something like that with his partner that they were gonna work to overcome at the end, which was really good as well. And I think that is also another like really good thing. There's not like a lot of fan games out there where like the main character is not just like this perfect, like even if they do speak, they're still like quote unquote perfect, right? We actually get to see that the player has like their own stuff going on. Now, could that maybe have like impacted the story, like knowing like having Lloyd's character impact the story with his strengths and weaknesses, shortcomings and whatnot? Like, yeah, that would have made it even better. But like still, I really like how Lloyd himself had like a personality.
Yeah, I will say another thing now that I'm looking back through the maps. There were a couple times, this is kind of nitpicky, that like tile passability felt a little weird to me. Like some of the choices, mainly it was doors. And like the quote unquote healer place, like the how do I describe it? Like
Yeah, there was
one
only the one
corner.
spot to heal.
Yeah, but like, well, that was kind of weird too. And just that place did not look like a healer place, but that's a different nitpick. The main nitpick I'm thinking of is like the door, even though maybe 1/10 of it is like taken up by like an object, you cannot walk on that tile at all.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
And
I know
that-
what you're talking about.
I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about too.
that bothered me. That
Yeah.
bothered me too.
It's a very small thing, but also like
Well, that's the main thing that like comes to mind when I think of. I think there were other weird tile decisions when it came to passability, but that's like the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, that's a nitpick. And like other nitpicks just come to like there was one tile in the like hotel made by Darkrai. Like I don't know what the object is. I think it's like a payphone.
it's
like
something
on the
that
table.
was on the table that you could walk on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that, and I forget which maps, but there were some maps you could see the like black void.
Oh, I didn't see that. I missed that.
I think there were two
didn't notice that
instances that
either.
I saw, but I forget where. So I apologize because I know it's not very helpful if I don't say where, but I don't remember. But I mean, yeah, overall, I still enjoyed my time with it. It's not bad. It's just kind of like me and Kane said at the beginning, like, I don't hate it or love it. It was a nice game we played. And not everything needs to be our favorite games of all time. It's also hard to, like, make that every single time, but...
I think for me, what I'm starting to have, not like issues with, but it's just a thing that's starting to happen, is that, like, the Never This Again games are gonna kind of start to squish together and all kind of just run into each other, and I'm just gonna, like, because they all do have the same archetype, and like I mentioned this earlier, I don't think the archetype is bad. I actually really enjoy the idea of just plucking this random ass Pokemon out of nowhere and then making a whole game about exploring how dangerous it can actually be, right? That's where I say that's why I say this game is more about the Marini and Toxapex compared to the Darkrai.
Yeah, but I still
personally,
wouldn't. It doesn't feel like they made the story around.
Yeah, it wasn't the entire story, I guess, where like the entire mountain was like Perilous Heights, kind of. And I don't know. I might disagree with you on that, because the only reason the child was missing was because of the Marini, not directly because of it, but indirectly.
Well, I guess the main thing with me is Marini. It didn't feel like there was anything special about Marini in this game that they couldn't have replaced it with a different poison type Pokemon.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
I guess I don't. What are Marini? Because like they were talking about how like they were getting like in the houses and like the structures and stuff. Is that like a type of? Is that how like Marini? It's like kind of coral based, right? That's what Marini and Toxapex are based on.
I think so.
So like I guess that makes sense for like an island, I suppose.
Let's see. Marini is based on a crown of thorns starfish, a venomous starfish that preys on coral. The pointy top of its head appears to be based on a crown. The lighter colors of its shiny variant in comparison to its normal colors may reference how juvenile crown of thorns starfish have brightly colored bodies that darken as they age.
I like.
I will
I
say
guess
with like the Never This Again criticism that you brought up about the multi-feeling the same. I feel like Family Restaurant. I feel like went.
No, Family Restaurant is the game that like
yeah.
stands out to me of the Never This Again games, because it is different.
Definitely. Though I will say, I also don't remember much from Family Restaurant.
Really?
At least personally.
That was a really good game. I think
I really liked it. I just don't remember anything from it.
I think for me, I do want to make clear, I am a fan of the Never This Again like archetype of games. Like I actually think it's a really cool idea. I just think there needs to be maybe a little bit more here and there to like diversify each game from one another. But other than that, I think the archetype is really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a good archetype. I'd love to see more of from other developers, not just Never This Again.
Yeah, I think overall that is our thoughts on Smoke and Salt, unless anyone wants to say anything else.
Not that I can think of.
And you haven't played any other Insert Name Gem games, right, Ethan?
Correct. I've only played Supernova and this one.
Okay. So we can't talk about any of the other ones, damn it.
I'm sorry.
How dare you, Ethan?
Next week, just kick me out. Don't have me. Don't get to see my beautiful haircut. And just talk about whatever y'all have been able to play over this next weekend.
I am upset still with, like, I mean, I haven't been minding playing the Insert Name Gem games, but I really want to play Pokemon Flux Episode 2. I've just been staring at it. I think it's
insane how the timing of things has happened, because the moment the Insert Name Gem ended, and like us as judges have all these games to play, a bunch of other fan games came out that I really want to play too. Like, I want to finish Pisces. I want to play Flux Episode 2. Now Odyssey's coming out, and we saw all these really cool trailers from the EV Expo. Like, that those games are probably going to be coming out soon. Like, I want to be done with these games, and like my life has become more busy and busy, so it's like I just like don't have time to play all of these games.
And then there's also the Summer Jam coming up soon, which will take up even more of our time.
Thinking about the Summer Jam actually makes me want to throw up because
Same.
I'm so behind with everything from the Insert Name Jam and the like.
No, I'm also... The Summer Jam also makes me want to throw up. I'm honestly like, if EV Expo cancels the Summer Jam, I don't think I will mind. I know a lot of people would, but I personally would not mind.
Yeah, it would be... I would genuinely be terrified if something happened and the Summer Jam didn't happen.
But like,
I'd be afraid it's the next coming of Christ or something.
But like with the Summer Jam, we have gotten like there's like, I don't think I'm gonna participate. There's only 2 ideas that would make me participate in the jam. Like, if I could get a team to work on one of 2 ideas I have. But if those ideas don't pan out, then there is no way I'm working on the Summer Jam.
Valid.
Because they are also both 2 ideas that have been sleeping in my mind for a while now.
Can't wait to hear about them. And end up playing them in the future, because you'll end up doing it just like you teased Berserk in an early episode of Hints of Hisui, and then Berserk came out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I did do that. No, I mean, both of them, like, with the ideas they're at currently, like, if I talk about them, it's not really spoilery, especially because one of them I have talked about before. But, I mean, I'm still probably just not gonna mention it, because why would I? At least not publicly. Because especially I still don't know if I'm gonna do it. It's like I'm not doing much over the summer, which helps. But also, I've lost track of how many jams I've done in a row at this point. The Insert Name Jam.
It's okay to skip one.
Yeah, the Insert Name Jam was the one I was gonna skip, and then Nand wanted to work on a project with me. And then we made Rhapsody.
Should that be our next game?
I thought you guys were working on an update.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on, like, one thing for it, and I've already asked Nan, because it looks like that's the next game Kenny has to play. And I'm just like, because all that's missing now for the update is, like, a trainer sprite. And I'm like, do we just push the update without the trainer sprite, so that Kenny plays with the update? Is what we're thinking now. So, I do think the update will come out sooner rather than later.
So maybe a couple more weeks for us to talk about it.
Yeah. Yes, it's gonna take us a couple weeks to make that trainer sprite.
Hey, you never know.
Yes, sure. I've had an artist take...
What, a year?
What was it?
2 years?
Almost a year, yeah. So, you know,
True.
It's theoretically possible.
It is possible. Yeah, let me look at if there's any other Pokemon fan game news that we don't know about that we should mention.
I feel like I haven't seen a lot, other than like
Neither have I.
the stuff going on that we've already.
Oh, there is
mentioned.
something that I can mention. I put this on the podcast, but I didn't put this on the podcast. I put this in the podcast server. But in last episode where we talked about the EV Expo, right when I reacted to it, I had an Overworld Shadow counter. And actually, apparently, thanks to Overworld Shadow counter, as I reacted to the EV Expo, I was able to get one of the entries to put Overworld Shadows in their game.
There we go. Using our platform for the good.
There we go.
Especially because it was a Gen 4 game.
Yeah.
So I am very happy about it getting Overworld Shadows. What the fuck am I looking at? I am not looking at that anymore. Just gonna... Social media is a weird place sometimes.
It is.
Yep.
You're right.
No, here's just... Yeah, I don't think there's been much fan game news last week, unless... Because no one's playing anything, right?
Fan games? No.
Nope.
Other
I've
than
barely
Answer Name
played.
Jam games.
I've barely played anything that isn't just whatever I've been streaming.
I can talk about other video games that I have been playing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I finished Tunic. I don't remember if I mentioned this if it was on the stream or on the podcast. I finished Tunic a little while ago. Really, really good game. I'm noticing one of my problems with games is that I don't have enough like I need to play games faster and for longer periods of like at a time for me to get more immersed, and I just don't have that kind of time anymore, which really sucks, because Tunic was a game where like almost everybody that plays it is like, damn, that's a good game, that's profound, and I just didn't have that feeling. And after like watching other people talk about the game and why it like was like that for them, I was like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. Had I experienced that in my playthrough, I would have been like, wow, that's really cool. And I even had that when I was watching like video essays, but I don't want to discover that in a video essay. I want to discover that when I'm playing. And
Yeah.
so I don't know, that kind of frustrated me, but either way, I'm done with Tunic. Highly recommend it for anybody. I will say the combat's a little difficult in my opinion. I had to switch it to easy mode for the final boss, and I still barely beat it, but whatever. Now I am playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh.
Finally, after I played the remake in 2022, I'm playing Rebirth now. And I don't know, I'm enjoying it so far. I will say, I did not notice it made me realize like my state of mind was very much different when I played remake in 2022 versus now in 2025. There are definitely some changes in my life since then. Like when I played the game in 2022, that was the game that I played when I like broke my leg. And that game I grinded so long, it like got me in the queue for a PS5, and that was the game that I played for so much in a short amount of time that it got me like a PS5 basically, when they were still kind of rare. And also I don't really know how to how to say this without being extremely blunt about it. It was 2022. I was holed up in my house because I couldn't go anywhere. All I was doing was crutching into work and then going back home. I was down bad. Like, when I played that game, and I am not right now. I'm like, wow, what a difference. What a difference.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Now, there's one video game that I want to play, but, like, also... for me, that is such a long list. Because I just don't play video games. It's, how the hell do you say this name? I'm gonna look up how to say. My Side. There we go.
Oh, I've seen some people playing that, and I've not looked into it.
Yeah.
But I've seen people are playing it.
One that I want to play, because I think looks interesting. It's also been grouped together with DDLC a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's for the reasons that I would want it to, but it's still enough that I'm like, I'll check it out, I'll play it. It's $15.
I could try to describe it, but I don't know how much you want me to spoil about it.
I'll figure out when I play it.
Okay. But yeah, I do see why people would be making that kind of connection, because yeah, that's it. They've got similar vibes.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say unless you guys do.
8 p.m. EST, if it's around that time when you're watching this, hey, it's time for my debut. Get over there.
Indeed.
Yes. Even for a second, just
pop in.
say hello. Do whatever you do in a debut. Yeah. And it's a somewhat shorter episode this time. There's also just not as much to talk about. Plus, Cade needs to leave in like 5 minutes anyways.
Sorry, y'all. I like definitely committed to too many things tonight. I was like, you guys don't know, but I was literally eating dinner in the call before we started recording. I was like, this is the only chance I'm gonna have time to eat dinner tonight, so I'ma just do it right now.
How many things did you commit to then?
Well, let me tell you. So, actually, my night was gonna be quite open. About 4 hours ago, it was going to be gym, podcast, and then get done with the podcast and just watch the Timberwolves, the basketball team, because they have just like at my house, just chill.
Yeah.
Oh
Sounds like a nice
then-
night.
no.
What? Huh?
So my
I sound different.
did I hold on?
Did y'all get any kind of notification that I had left the call?
No.
No.
No. Your boy blue screened.
Oh shit.
Well, Cade, you're recording desktop on it,
I
right?
have the audio.
Thank God
Okay.
Cade's here.
Oh, thank fuck.
Yeah, if we did not have Cade in this call, we would be fucked. But
Yeah.
we're good.
Yep.
Well,
I'll just send a PNG of my room, I guess.
nice. But yeah, so I got done with work. I went to the gym. I fucking crushed leg day today. Like, I was so
Hell
motivated
yeah.
to go to the gym. I didn't have softball last night because it got rained out. And, like, my legs have been suffering because of that. So I just crushed leg day today. I came back, ate dinner in, like, 5 minutes, podcast. And I'm getting done with this podcast. Now, because at 3 p.m., I wasn't aware of this. My friends were like, "Hey, do you want to watch the Timberwolves game at my place?" I'm like, "Sure." Like, I knew there was a possibility, but I thought because we hadn't made plans as of last night, we weren't going to. But whatever. So now I'm doing that. So I literally have to go jump in my car, and then literally an hour later, a different friend was like, "Hey, do you want to like play tennis or hang out tonight?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm busy. You should have texted earlier." You literally could have texted 2 hours earlier. Would have made plans with you tonight.
Wow.
So
But hey, I'm glad you were able to make it to the podcast, or else this whole episode would not happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening. A little bit of a shorter one, but that's fine. We'll see you guys next week with whatever game we end up talking about. It mostly depends on what like you and Tom want to play, Cade, because I have well, it'll most likely be a game I've already played, so it does not impact me.
Okay.
Unless you guys choose Minier or
I'm currently playing
Recollections.
Minier, so
Oh. So basically I need to play Minier, is what I'm hearing.
I don't know. I don't know what games Tom has played. We'll see. I think Tom should get to choose. He hasn't been in the past 2 episodes.
True.
Yeah.
I can look at the user bulletin.
Actually, should we play Pokemon Cast? Should we talk about Pokemon Cast?
That would not take a whole episode, Kane. That would take 1 minute, maybe.
Yeah. Potentially.
Alright. So yeah, whatever we talk about next week, we'll talk about that, and we will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.